trying to get this alien app deal worked out. I'm trying to push her through here on how to generally set up the coronosphere here, whether it's radio dominant or what is it, radioactive dominant or magnetic dominant in the coronos for the way light works. Really, yeah, the spin on some AP type star. Right. So the Reddit story I'm trying to right here with the Medic and the Draken and 40K over there, and apparently the Dark Eldar are in on this. I'm not exactly sure how it all plays out in the end, but generally I'm trying to pick up the security detail for the region, even if it's like, yeah, you got to hang on the outer edge of those ones and kind of poke them back in. They'll be crazy and be like, every time we go over here, they do this, and it's like, meanwhile the shepherd just poking, telling the dog to go over there and put him back in the fence. It's like, oh. At any rate, I'm trying to do that up here, because let's say that we showed them the power of the sun and Chuck Norris and everything else that we might have access to here at the Galactic Federation, the us. That's something. If you can pull out a Black Dragon, then you pull out a Black Dragon. If you got Blood Angels, Black Crusaders, Death Incarnate units, they'll just pull out in the middle. They'll let like the whole front end of a bunch of Death Corps and IMA Dreadnought clearing the hangar, because they are starting to uprile and you are part of that scam and kind of know, and then you're pissed off at the boss still. I mean, but still, this hangar needs some order. It doesn't matter whether it would be the next order. It just doesn't matter. So again, I'm trying to get this just so right. So my story isn't like, oh, we showed them aliens on the Galactic Federation. Those Dark Eldars, they had it coming this whole time. I was sitting like marshmallow back in all this with Lindsay up here, going at it. And that's where I was sitting in the world. So I got to make sure I got to do this right here with fighting the Ender Dragon and doing it up with Bones about what those charts and butterfly coronal ejections would look like for the solar cycle. Big weak gravities that actually do play to probably some numbers on the radio sequence here. It was Alabaster over there, the radio demon, inside of the TV demon because of the fast radio pulse. That we're falling. Generally trying to stay on it. Gresham's Law, I'm taking a bunch of charts of their reluctivity. I'm trying to put them on a chart that looks like something like this, and I did a shitty job. I did a quantum physics complete job. The second I start doing this, you find out that it's been sitting around for a long time, and nobody's really done it. Like, alright, so this is that chart. With most of them, I only put 16 in there because I'm playing a 16-bit game here on what this does. And so I figured, alright, so what do those other charts start like? Certainly not the gold or the silver standard for conductivity. That's going to be this, 10 to the negative 6 ohms per centimeter. And you'll find a lot of charts about their melting point, which is based in a weight. Cubic pounds, feet, cubic centimeters, depending on which volumetrics you do. But from that number, you can correlate that other differential. You could say, okay, I can see what he's doing here in the charts and run down that from 1 to 16. I don't necessarily need to dope it that way. Again, and where does titanium dioxide fit into all this of the chip? I'm not really sure, me personally, but I know it follows quantum mechanics and it follows measure theory. That's an immutable law of the universe. That little bunny's going to skitter out of there somewheres. And it's probably going to be because of this reason. So when you argue something is relative, that it might play radioactive, gold in certain indicators is not radioactive at all. It can certainly have some charts where it plays that way in the C machine. That is not negotiable. That is, again, a physical optic in terms of the way that's behaving on a DMA or a IMA or an A0. There's no energy. It's operating systems to just start pumping energy to give itself enough room to have a couple of ones and zeros on that resistor or wire, because gold and silver and copper and everything, before you start doping what a resistor is. Now, that may not be a very long lifespan that piece of wire of any gauge thickness may correlate to, but that's the kind of level of thinking you have to take inside of what this square may represent in its mountain theory. Like, here's the problems. They're all over the road. There's not really a good butterfly chart to really go with it in its complete form, to really be sure that I've checked all the indicators that might be out there, because I don't necessarily have a demon circuit to test this. But if I do, even if it was slightly off or something like that, I'm going to have to dial in my equipment just so subtly to be able to understand in that sinusoidal, or in that machine, that dozer, that saw, that computer in the Betty's office in some way, this is relative.